Today I'm styling bacon and shrimp carbonara, and I'm going to show you guys the art of styling a recipe backwards. So when I go to style pasta, I'm looking to make sure I can build the recipe sort of backwards. So for example, in the carbonara, I'm going to cook the shrimp and then the bacon, and then bring the pasta in. So I have all these separate elements ready to go. So when I go to style it for photo, I'm gonna plug them in right there at the end. I'm starting off with fresh, raw shrimp. And I went through these shrimp to pick out the best, most curved ones because I wanna make sure I get really pretty shrimp for camera. When I heat these shrimp up, I'm gonna use some olive oil and I wanna cook them just perfectly. And I also kept the tails on the shrimp because when I go to style the pasta, I want the person looking at this photo to immediately go, oh my gosh, that's a shrimp, as opposed to say if we diced them and then it would just look like a pink chunk of something. And I also wanna only cook them so they're just done and bright pink and they don't curl up into a tight C shape so they look like they're overdone. So I'm gonna heat some olive oil up in a pan and get the heat going. Sometimes I check my lip gloss in here to see if it's still looking good. Perf. Okay, so I can see this oil start to pop and bubble. I can smell the olive oil in there. And so you know that it's right when you can smell the oil. And I'm gonna put the shrimp in now. But when you go in to put in the shrimp, do it one by one just to make sure that we get that really pretty shape and the shrimp lies flat in the pan. I'm not cooking the bacon before I do the shrimp. When bacon gets cooked in a pan, it makes the grease turn a little bit brown and you get little bacon bits in there. And I really want our shrimp to look cleanly cooked. All right, so these shrimp are pretty much perfect. You can see they have a nice curved shape. The tails are good and pink. They look really bright and clean. So I'm going to take these off the heat and transfer them to a plate to make sure they keep pretty pristine looking. I love a good thick cut bacon. And I've actually already cooked some bacon for this recipe that I have set aside. Thin cut bacon kind of burns easily. It doesn't look as good on camera. It doesn't get those nice curves that you want. Thick cut bacon does. And so I want to show you guys just the thickness of this, how it's got those pretty curves in it, and it's going to hold up really well to camera. So I have cooked my bacon. One tip is you want to wipe the grease out of the pan. Now be really careful. Don't be putting your hand in there. Let it cool for a second. Because when I go to toss the pasta, I really don't want that dark brown bacony residue on there. And I'm going to put some fresh olive oil in, and then I'm going to add in the garlic. This is the key to getting our pasta nice and glossy. So I have a pasta that we've boiled, that we've drained, and with your pasta, to make sure it's done, you can do the old Italian grandmother trick. Take a noodle, throw it against the wall. Or you wanna look at the package directions and cook it until it's al dente. You don't wanna cook it till it's really soft because then it's not gonna hold up on camera. So we got our pasta in here and I'm gonna add our egg yolk mixture. Make sure when you whisk the egg yolks and the egg together, you get it really smooth so that when we go to add it into everything hot, there's a less likelihood that it's gonna get chunky. It's gonna start to get glossy, and I'm gonna add the cheese. Another food styling tip. This is so much fun. Go the extra mile. Fresh grate your cheese. Pre-grated cheese has a white powdery coating on it that does not work for camera. Grate your Parmesan fresh, and when you do that, you're gonna be left with this beautiful hunk of cheese that's gonna tell a story in your final photo. It's gonna look so good in your styling. Honestly, I think this looks perfect. And because it's perfect, I'm gonna take it off the heat. We're done, we're good, and we're gonna move it over to style it for photo. I'm ready to style my bacon and shrimp carbonara. Get ready for a pasta party, peeps. I'm gonna start with the pasta itself. And also, quick note, I love this green plate. The sage color is gonna be beautiful with the pink of our shrimp, with the neutral pasta, with the parsley I'm gonna incorporate. Phenomenal. So when you pile this pasta up, we're gonna move slowly a little bit at a time to make a perfect build. So I'm gonna get this sauced up pasta, and once I have about the amount of pasta that I want, I'm gonna start making twirls. This is really fun. I just spread the pasta out so it forms a pretty shape, and then I'll just take some noodles and kind of just like tuck some out so you get some pretty curves going, you get some pretty shapes. You don't want to have just like a round mound of pasta. You want to bring some pieces out to create some texture and a pretty flow to the food. Just like if you were eating at home, you're eating some pasta, just twirl it up and then let it go. When I get to the final photo, I'll probably play around with having it in the shot looking like I'm about to eat it. That's a beautiful shot. It shows the glossiness of the carbonara sauce in a really beautiful way. The light hits it from the window. It's awesome. Because the shrimp are one of the main ingredients of this dish, I'm gonna style the shrimp more towards the front of the plate and then work back. You can see the tail of the shrimp. I love that it's facing camera, it's catching light. Because I don't want this to look like a plate of pasta that I'm just piling shrimp on top of, I'm gonna kind of tuck the shrimp into the noodles. Kind of place this in a little bit bit maybe like that. So you have a twirl shape, you have the noodle shape, and I'm gonna work front to back, building, tucking, and if the shrimp starts to look a little dry, rub it around in the oil, make sure it's got a good sheen on it. I'm gonna tuck this into the sauce back here, pick some of that up on my shrimp. Beautiful. I may put this one more towards the center. I don't want it to look cheesy, like all my shrimps in one place, but I might just kind of tuck them way under. Next element is the bacon. This bacon has gotten cold and it looks a little dry and gnarly, but we worked really hard on this bacon to get it pretty. I'm just gonna spray our bacon to bring it back to life. It's amazing how when you do that, it just perks it back up. If you have time, you can put it in the microwave for like 10 or 15 seconds. And I'm just gonna sporadically place it in. I put some pieces in the back, but I wanna save my chunkier pieces maybe more towards the front. And actually, this is starting to look good from all angles, which I'm really digging. I want to add some fresh parsley. It's so important to put in some fresh pops of color because these colors can all start to blend and we don't want that to happen. Pick out the pretty pieces. Pretty. And I even like how that one leaf happened. That shape of the green leaf with the pasta is really beautiful. So I'm gonna actually leave that one. And here, like I talked about earlier, we have our beautiful fresh chunk of Parmesan. So I'm just going to a little Salt Bae action, little sprinkle on top to create another level of texture. Top with a little bit of course salt, and then add fresh pepper. And I like to, when I grate pepper, grate it into my hand and then sprinkle it instead of just grating it here because I can't control it well when I just grate it on the pasta. So I wanna put it in my hand and then put it on top. I'm gonna sprinkle some of this. And I may even, just to bring your eye to the shrimp in the front, add a little pepper on front to kind of pull that forward and across. So I've got my plate of food styled. It looks amazing. I've let some bacon kind of fall off the side, so I'm ready to go take that photo.